All right, everybody, we'll go silent and smiling. Thank you all very much. Good morning, everybody. We're just waiting for a few more of our attendees to enter the room and we'll get started. Good morning. Welcome to our virtual 21st Century Leadership Academy. We're so pleased to have you with us. My name is Gerard Turbide. I'm the Vice President for Enrollment Services here at Wells College. And let me say now, congratulations to all of you on your 21st Century Leadership Award. This is far more than a $10,000 merit-based scholarship. This is a true honor and a point of distinction for you. You've been nominated by your school counselor because they saw something special in you. You've demonstrated leadership in your school community, and you've demonstrated an outlook and an approach to life that fits with the mission of Wells College. Our mission is to teach students to think critically, reason wisely, act humanely as they cultivate meaningful lives. Now more than ever, the world needs leadership grounded in that mission. Leadership guided by critical thinking, wisdom, kindness, and the desire to make a meaningful and positive difference in the world. Wells College will prepare you for that role. Wells College is a very special place, a nationally recognized college set in a peaceful little village right on the shore of Cayuga Lake, the longest of the Finger Lakes. We will offer you unmatched personal attention, a 9-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio, the ability to create your own major, a campus where everyone is on a first-name basis, and we see each person for the unique and special human being that they are. Small is powerful. We have fewer than 400 students, so we can do everything one student at a time. We can guarantee you close and meaningful connections with faculty. We can assure you that you'll have full access to our resources and programs, and we will hear your voice in and out of the classroom. We care about every one of our students and every one of our alumni, and when you join Wells, our college family, your experience is not just about being a member of your class or your incoming cohort of students. You are welcomed by every student on our campus, and you'll be part of a broad network of Wells College alumni who span the globe, yet still consider Wells to be their home. Our curriculum goes beyond the liberal arts, blending real-world experiences. Every student at Wells pursues internships of one type or another. And in fact, you can do your first internship at the end of your first semester. Our innovative programs in business and health sciences offer interdisciplinary, career-oriented experiences that prepare our students to succeed. And we'll work with you. If you don't know what you want to major in, our advising is very personal, and we have an exploratory program for students who've yet to decide. We are a community with over 150 years of history and traditions, a real living honor code that our students not only sign their names to when they decide to join the Wells family, but Wells students and alumni seek to bring the principles of the honor code into the real world. Ask any Wells student or graduate whether they are odd or even, and you'll quickly see how our history and traditions bind us and connect generations of Wellsians. You are on an incredible journey right now, searching for the right college, your home for the next 4 years, an educational experience that will prepare you for success, a transformative experience that will help you define your character, who you are, and what you want to accomplish in this world, the difference that you will make. Today, we want to have a conversation with you about the tremendous value of a Wells College education, a nationally recognized private college that is affordable, that combines the liberal arts with real-world experience, a small, inclusive, and surprisingly diverse campus community, all on a breathtaking campus environment that will instantly feel like home. And we're open. Our students are on campus right now, engaging in real-life, in-person experiences. So come to our campus and see for yourself. We hope that today is just one of many conversations that we'll have with you, and that we'll see you on campus for a personal visit very soon. So let's have a meaningful conversation about Wells College and your bright future. Let's talk about what it's like to be a student here, how Wells changes lives. We've assembled a panel to represent Wells family and to have this conversation today. We're not going to throw a lot of facts and figures or statistics at you. Instead, we just want to have a very authentic and personal conversation. So how this works, you can submit questions to our panelists via the Q&A function. We have staff members, admissions counselors, and others who are in the chat room and can engage with you and forward your question to us. And so let's get started. You can see our panelists here in front of us, and I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves, and then we'll begin our conversation. So first, our president, Dr. Jonathan Gibralter.
Muted. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wells. My name is Jonathan Gibralter. I'm the president of Wells College. I've been at Wells over 5 years, and I want to begin by just saying congratulations to all of you on being selected for this very high honor. I really look forward to seeing you on our campus.
Ellie Schwolbel.
Hi, good morning. My name is Ellie Schwolbel. I am a graduate from the class of 2019. I majored in both general education and special education under the inclusive ed program at Wells. I'm a certified teacher now, and am actually at grad school at the University of Rochester.
Kaylin Furr.
Hi, I'm Kaylin. I'm class of 2021. I'm a double major in psychology, women's and gender studies, and I received this award as a prospective student. And it really just showed me like where I can be a leader on campus in several spots, including a song mama in online, which is one of our most prized traditions on this campus.
Christian Hahn.
Hi, my name is Christian Hanum, class of 2022. Here on campus, I'm a RA and I'm part of the volleyball team. I really like Wells because it's it really is a family environment. You know, everybody you see, you know, on a first name basis, and that's a big part of what brought me here.
Andre Lynch.
Hello, folks. Hello, hello. Good morning. My name is Andre Lynch. I'm the Associate Dean for Equity and Inclusion here at Wells. My pronouns are he, him, his. And what I do in my role is I act as the main support for historically underrepresented folks, including women, LGBTQ plus folks, differently abled folks, and Black and brown folks, and just students that run the gambit of marginalizations. I also collaborate with faculty and staff, trustees, to make sure that Wells is taking a holistic approach to everything that we do, and is as equitable and inclusive as possible. And I'd like to answer the question of why Wells for me, right? So I remember when I was in the interview stages of accepting a position at Wells, and my first time being on campus, just walking on campus, I was approached by at least 10 students asking me who I was, and they were interested in my day, and were wishing me the best of luck in my job search, and it was an instant sense of community that I felt that I've never felt on any other campus that I've ever been on. So it was the deep sense of community that I'm sure you'll hear a ton about during our conversation this morning is very real. So again, good morning, and thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you, Andre. Cindy Speaker.
Hi, I'm Cindy Speaker. I'm the Provost and Dean of the College here at Wells. Congratulations on being a recipient of the Junior Leadership Award. It's really an honor to be recognized for all your work that you've done so far. And we're definitely looking forward to having you explore Wells and hopefully feel that community that Andre was talking about and see your place here at Wells. As a small institution, we are really able to work individually with students, which allows students to combine all of their interests. So you don't have to just be one part of you here at Wells. We want you to explore all of you and really explore your passions, develop new interests, and really figure out what type of life you want to lead. So looking forward to talking with you this morning.
Linda Galbato. Linda, you're muted.
Okay, I just wanted to practice before I spoke. So welcome everyone. I'm really glad you're here and would like to congratulate you on your award. I'm Linda Galbato, Director of Academic and Career Advising, as well as the Director of the Exploratory Program at Wells. I'm starting my 4th year at Wells and look forward to getting to know all of you.
Thank you, Linda. And Lindsay Burwell.
Hello, everybody. Wish I could see you in person, but I'm Lindsay Burwell. I'm an assistant professor of chemistry. I'm also involved with the health science program. I've been at Wells for a little over 5 years as well. One thing I really like about Wells is connecting with students very closely and working with them, in my case, in the research lab. So like Christian's been doing research with me since his first semester sophomore year, right? And he's still going strong. I really like to see how people evolve and kind of push them to their niche and a career trajectory that would make them happy and feel successful. And it's just a great place to be.
Thank you, Professor Burwell. And so now, President Gibralter, let's start the conversation with you. And my question for you is, how do you define leadership? And why is that important right now?
Thank you, Gerard. That's a really wonderful question and an incredibly important question to be asking right now. You see the scene behind me. That's just about any day of the week, sunset here in Aurora. And This is a place of pristine beauty, of calm, and of tranquility. It's a place of self-exploration where everybody is able to disconnect from all of the trials and tribulations that might otherwise guide us day by day, and where all of us have an opportunity to do two things that I think are really important for leaders. The first one is self-awareness. Leaders are aware of who they are, where they are, and the impact that they have on other people. Aurora is a place where everybody has an opportunity to reflect, to be with themselves, and to come to know themselves better. In addition, leaders, real leaders today, have the desire and intent to be self-reflective. Again, to look inside of yourself, to gain a deeper understanding of who you are, the kind of person that you want to be, and the way that you want to relate to the world. The wonderful thing about Wells is that you have an opportunity to test that out every day, because you're not a number. In fact, you are a name, but our faculty and staff take a much deeper interest in everybody here, in every student. They really want to know who you are in your heart, what drives you to be the best person you can be, how they will work with you to help to bring out the very best in you every day that you're here. They don't let you get lost, because this is a small enough place that if you begin to get lost, you're going to hear from our faculty and staff. What's going on? How are you doing? How can we help and support you right now? Leadership is also about, I said, self-awareness and self-reflection, but it's also about ethical decision-making. It's about having a sound set of values and principles that guide you to always do the right thing. Because leaders don't do the wrong thing and then look for excuses and reasons to justify their behavior. Leaders always do the right thing for the right reasons. And you all have already distinguished yourself as leaders. You are obviously very intelligent. You obviously have been engaged in your schools in a way that has caused others to recognize you and bestow this honor upon you. And I'm very sorry, because of this pandemic that we're in, that maybe you weren't able to gain that public recognition in your school in the spring. But we want to be able to bestow that recognition on you today and when you join us at Wells. There's one thing that I want to say, and that is, look at the scene behind you. Think about the peace and tranquility that this place offers. Think about the importance of the personal engagement and reflection that I think everybody on this panel will talk about. Think about whether you can see yourself here. And please, most importantly, this is a safe community. We are at the end of our 4th week of classes, Monday beginning week 5. There has not been a single positive case of COVID in this community. This is a safe place. We're open. We have gone out of our way to develop policies and procedures to keep people safe. And I want you to take some time to not only think about whether you can see yourself as a member of this community, but come visit us. Come spend some time with us. Come meet us in person. It might be behind a mask. It might be 6 feet away. But even under those circumstances, I think you'll feel what I'm talking about, and that is our deep desire to come to know you on a very personal level. So thank you for joining us today, and we really look forward to answering your questions.
Ellie, you talked a little bit about what you're doing right now. Can you remind us of that and maybe speak a bit to how your experience at Wells prepared you for those challenges and opportunities?
Yeah, so right now I am finishing up my last semester of grad school. So it was a 15-month program at the University of Rochester. I am pursuing a master's degree in both literacy and reading for grades, I guess, birth through 12th grade. And so, I mean, Wells is, as mentioned, it's a small community. So the group of people that I was with throughout Wells, specifically in the education program, we were in classes together since freshman year. Um, it you had a bond of people with you that knew like what you were experiencing. You could talk to all the time about the assignments that were going on or the crazy projects that you had to do, which was really nice. My professors were super supportive all the time in helping me with any question that I had, any concern that I had, literally anything, whether it was school related or not. And that when looking for grad schools, knowing that I needed to get a master's degree, I wanted something similar to the Wells experience that I had. And the University of Rochester had that to offer. It reminds me a lot of Wells often because the group of people that I am taking classes with is small. My classes, I'm not a number in my classes. I am a name. My professors know who I am. And I love that feeling. Yeah, and I mean, you take your friends with you wherever you go from Wells as well. And I mean, my roommate is currently also in the same program. We went through all 4 years of the education program at Wells together. Just knowing somebody is really nice, and knowing that you've come from the same places is just an incredible feeling.
Thank you, Ellie. We have a question from the audience about how we are handling campus visits during COVID. And so let me speak a little bit about that, and then I might expand that question a little bit too. First of all, we will do a personal tour with you and your family. You'll be paired with a single tour guide, and that will be the tour. So you'll head out on campus with that level of personal attention. Prior to coming to campus, you will need to answer the same screening questions that every one of us answers every day before we go off to our office or to class. And those questions are about whether you've been diagnosed, whether you've had symptoms, whether you've traveled to an area, a restricted area from according to New York State, or exposure to somebody with COVID. And from there, you'll be required to wear a mask while on campus, as will your tour guide. We'll have you meet individually with a member of our admission counseling team. And we'll find connections for you as well. So let's have that conversation about what is your academic interest, what other interests do you have on campus, and we'll make personal connections for you. You can meet directly with a faculty member, whether that's in their office or somewhere on campus, maybe out on one of the benches outside looking at the lake, or if that's an environment like this too, where we can blend online communication with your in-person visit. We're flexible, we do things individually, so we'll tailor a visit that works for you. I wanted to expand the kind of motivation for that question, if you will, and just kind of ask our panelists how life is on campus during the pandemic. How are things different? How are they the same? And how's it going?
So I'm a current student, I'm a senior, and I've been immersed in this community for quite some time. I was kind of concerned, like before we came back, like how our community will change through all the restrictions, but it hasn't. And that's, I guess, like, I'm not surprised by that, because the Wells community always knows like how to hold each other up, and we know how to adapt and to take care of each other. So having all these restrictions with, like, you know, staying 6 feet apart, not like going in big groups, wearing masks and stuff, like we're all doing our part, and having that community to support each other during this transition. So I just wanted to emphasize that the community hasn't changed.
I think, Kaylin, one thing that I've heard from students is that they remember last year when everything came to a stop and they had to go home. And so we talk about leadership. I think what I've heard from students is they want to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And so it's a sense of personal responsibility to trying to avoid having to leave the campus again that keeps everybody doing the right thing.
I will say the situation from a faculty point of view has led to some really creative ways in which we've delivered classes. And I guess Christian can contest to this. He's in biochemistry with me right now, where I've had to kind of flip everything, where we have a virtual lecture once a week, but we have an in-person lecture once a week too. And during that in-person lecture, it's not a lecture, it's actually working on problems. I think in lecture last week, we talked about amino acid structure where they were drawing out their own names. We didn't do Christian because it would be too long, but we used a different student. And so we got to do more in-person problem sets. And I think students understand the material much better. And moving forward after post-COVID, I think I'm going to incorporate more of that into my classroom.
Yeah, so I can kind of speak on that from the student perspective in classes. I actually think so COVID and the regulations have made it so that you really have to split people up, right? And you can't have as many people in a classroom at a time. And I think that while our classes are small to begin with, this splits them up a bit more, and that makes it so that your professor is working that much more one-on-one. And especially in some of the classes where you kind of have a lot more, your questions are a lot more complicated and kind of take time to talk through. That's nice because you have the time to work one-on-one, because instead of 16 students, you have 8 in the classroom. So that gives you a lot more time to work and, kind of adhere to each student's individual needs. And that's not just true for Professor Burwell's classes. That's true in all of my classes. I've seen that. So that's, I think, one kind of good thing that came out of it, of all this bad.
Thank you, everyone. We have another question from the audience, and I'll expand this just a little bit too. The question is about how we help students with medical concerns, and I'll expand that to learning differences or other individual concerns, how we support students in that way.
So we do have an office of student success, and the person that runs that office also coordinates disability services and accommodations. So there's a lot of similarity in terms of students that need accommodations, what that experience was like for them in high school or earlier. So supplying the office with the necessary paperwork, IEPs, 504s to start that process when you start campus. But really, so the process is similar, but what I can tell you about the WELS approach to the process is, again, very student-centered. So any necessary offices, Res Life, working together to coordinate the solutions for students. And so key point people in place from even before the student starts campus to get the process started so that the student has the accommodations that they need early on. So I guess the answer to the question is simply yes, that we have the support in place, and that we do work across offices to support students.
Sure. Thanks for that, Linda. And to add a bit to that, we also have an affinity group on campus named AAA, Access and Ability for All. So that's for differently abled folks, and they act as an advocacy group, and also a group to get connected with other like-minded folks on campus to fight for more access and equity and on campus for different concerns out of the community.
Andre, that's a really good point to bring up. Over the years that I've been at Wells, representatives of AAA have met with me on several occasions, and we have made changes to the campus because of those meetings. Access into Barler Music auditorium was made because of students meeting with us and talking to us about how we could get a ramp into an appropriate sloped ramp into the building. Same thing with the ramp in the back of Macmillan where many classrooms are. So that's a good point, and it speaks to leadership because students have a voice and we're all here to listen, and we'll do what we can to accommodate those requests.
And that voice of students isn't just in terms of student groups and leadership within student groups, but actually students serve on committees across campus. There are students who participate in a number of different ways to make sure that the student perspective or students' perspectives, multiple, are taken into account and valued. So I think there's real opportunity to learn more about the nature of how an institution of higher education actually operates, and to affect change in that community.
Thank you all. We have a question specifically related to the scholarship itself. Is the award guaranteed for 4 years? And it is. You must maintain your full-time enrollment and good academic standing, but that $10,000 award will continue to be part of your aid package for all 4 years that you attend Wells. The other thing to know about this is the start of the conversation. Most students who are awarded the 21st Century Leadership Scholarship, when we finalize your admission decision, actually are often awarded other merit-based awards. And of course, to be considered for need-based aid, you must file the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. So this is one component of your overall financial aid award package. Another question we have, which I think we have a couple of folks who may want to chime in on this, is about our elementary and special ed program, and talking about what sets the program at Wells College apart.
Honestly, it's the professors, and I'm not going to tell you that the education program is easy to get through, because it is not. I had many all-nighters. I had lots of projects that were turned in last minute. But your professors are always willing to work with you and to support you. And if you need extra time, I can't tell you the amount of times that I had to text my professors. Yes, I had their cell phone numbers. I texted my professors to say, listen, I need a few more hours to work on this. And they would say, get it to me when you can, like, don't stress out. I mean, when you're at Wells, you're involved in a lot of different things usually. So between like sports, if you're interested in sports, or other clubs or organizations, for the most part, professors are really willing to work with you. I graduated being a certified teacher, and going through that process, my professors walked me through the EdTPA, which is the like final test that you have to take. It's really extensive. And so they walked me through step by step my whole last semester of making sure that I had everything in order to be able to pass and to go on and succeed and to be able to get a job. And that was so special. Because I've talked to other people from other education programs, and they just did not have that same professor support that I felt that I had at Wells all the time.
Yeah, I would just add to that in addition to the support from your faculty, and Ellie mentioned before, just the cohort of peers going through the program together, and relying on one another for help and support. I think one of the other things that sets the Wells program apart is that from your first class in the education program, you're getting out into schools. Field placements, just the number of hours that our students are actually able to be in various school settings, and not just when they student teach their last semester, but from the start of their education program. And that's just really huge. And the program has a really strong reputation, and not just within our immediate area of where campus is located, but surely within New York State, that schools want our students to be in their schools as placements, as student teachers, as employees. And so we see a real receptivity of cooperating teachers and superintendents who want to work with us. So even in this time of COVID, we have 5 seniors who are student teaching this semester, and we were able to get them all placed physically into schools. And I think that this speaks really highly of what people think about the Wells education program.
We have several questions about the first year for students, and a couple of them are more logistical or policy related questions, but the third one's a really interesting one as well. You know, are first year students required to live on campus? That's one question. Can they have a car? That's a second question. And then the third question is, what's that transition like?
So hello, this is Andre Lynch speaking. So for our first year program, depending on a bunch of different factors, students are not necessarily required to live on campus. There are a few exceptions, but we are a primarily residential campus. So a good amount of our first year students, almost all of the freshman class, do reside on campus in a few freshman dormitories. We have Leach Hall and Dodge Hall, which are designated as first year dorms. Freshmen are allowed to bring vehicles to campus. The area that we are located in, if you'd like to get personal items or do any type of shopping and things of that nature, we do have transportation that'll help you out with that. But having a personal vehicle is also something that's good to have. And as far as transition, the transition from high school to college is definitely a difficult one. But what I really like about Wells is that because of our size, we're really able to tailor what that transition looks like for folks. Folks don't tend to fall through the cracks here, but those first couple weeks are really, really crucial to getting connected to campus, right? So what I mean getting connected to campus, I mean going to the library and figuring out what the support services are. I mean going over to the student affairs suite and understanding who the folks are in that office and what they actually do to be able to get you connected to resources on campus, whether that be academic or social emotional resources or mental health resources right on campus, or connected to outside resources, helping with those same things. But we also have folks in student affairs that help get folks connected with SNAP or other food benefit programs. If you're in need of those things, we have folks on campus who can get you connected with technology. If you come to campus needing a laptop, yours is not operating well, we can get you a nice laptop to be able to use for the semester or the year. So the transition can be challenging. And in order to ease what that transition looks like, you need to be very short within that first week or two to get connected with folks on campus, to be sure that you know where resources are, how to access them, and how to utilize those resources as soon as you get here.
And I'll just build on Andre. I would totally agree. Connection is very important in that transition. Connecting with your advisor. So I currently have 4 first-year advisees. I've been checking in regularly just to see how they're going. And, you know, hey, do you play, so I have 4 science first years, but do you play an instrument? Did you know we have a band? A lot of students are involved in theater or sports, just trying to get them involved and connected with everything that's going on in the community.
I'll just speak on that as someone who definitely was struggling with transition at first, but what my saving grace was going out of my comfort zone and joining different organizations on campus, and they all welcomed me immediately. And then also, again, just utilizing your resources, like the mental health resources are really important, and if you need them, they're right there and they're really easy to access. And just all departments here are here to help you, and the students and the faculty and just everyone.
I would like to just mention our Wells 100 class too. So every first year student, the fall semester of their first year will be enrolled in a section of Wells 100. And that is a class designed to help students with that transition. So there's really two components to that class. There's a piece that introduces students to student success tools. This week we talked about note-taking. So real practical student success work is done. And then also introducing students to the Wells College community. We have speakers that come in every week from different offices to talk about the work of their office and services that are offered, as well as introducing students, and this is part of the exploratory program, introducing students to faculty, disciplines, departments, and learning about our academic offerings. So that is a class that every single student will take, and right off the bat, first semester, to help ease that transition from high school to college.
The other thing that I would add there is that there's a real deliberateness in terms of how we work with new students. Especially new first year students, recognizing that, especially among you as a group, that you've been very strong students in high school, and you've excelled in your academic work, in leadership roles, and so forth. But you're high school students, and you have to learn how to be a college student. So you don't graduate in June from high school and all of a sudden know how to be a college student. You've been a very good high school student, just as you had to learn to navigate high school academics. The same is true in terms of learning how to navigate collegiate academics as well as collegiate athletics. So you're expected in some sense to sort of fall down here and there, right? And make a mistake or fail in some way, and then you and the community helps you sort of figure it out, learn what you need to learn, connect you with resources that you may need to be successful, and learn from that experience, and grow from that experience, which is really important. And so your Wells education across all 4 years is really having you move from being that high school student to being a scholar, and thinking about the nature of academics in a different way that isn't just mastering content, but using the knowledge that you're creating in your life and in the world, and figuring out what you're to do with that in terms of your own life, and whether that's in terms of the career path you pick, or how you choose to live in community, or what type of community you choose to live in, and how you get involved, right? It's about making use of your education, and not just mastering material to take a test and then move on.
Sure, and thank you so much, Kaylin, for mentioning the ease of access for our mental health resources. I wanted to just expand just a tiny bit on that, right? So when you enroll as a student here, no matter what insurance you have or your insurance situation, you're allowed access to our community medical center, which is actually housed on campus. So it's an outside community medical center. But they serve the Wells College student community as well as a part of your enrollment. So you are guaranteed at least a therapeutic session every 2 weeks if you want, right? And if you deem it necessary that you need more one-on-one with a counselor, or the counselor deems it necessary, you actually can go as much as once a week to be able to keep up with your therapy and your mental health. So yeah, like Kaylin just alluded to, right? I can actually look out of my window to the right here and see the community medical center. It's located right on the corner of campus here.
So, I just wanted to say, as a RA, in terms of the transition. So last year I was a first year RA, and so the resident advisors on campus, especially first year resident advisors, are really encouraged to get to know their students and their residents. And we have programs that we run. So we'll have activities that have a number of different requirements, kind of themes, so that we can better help our residents to succeed. One of the programs that I did was helping. I had somebody from the business office come and give some suggestions about writing resumes, because that's a really uncommon, or not uncommon, but for a lot of students, that's not something that people know a lot about. I know I certainly did it when I came to college. But so the resident advisors are really encouraged to get to know their students. And at the end of the year, when you go on to become sophomores, a lot of my residents have become actually really close friends of mine. So it really, our resident advisors really try to be your friends and be that connection, that student connection for you on campus. And I know my resident advisor when I was the first year was fantastic.
Thank you, Christian. And I knew that would be a really exciting topic that a lot of folks would want to speak about. And thank you for covering the mental health services piece. That was another question that we had in the chat. What about emotional support animals? Can I bring my emotional support animal to campus?
Yes, 100%. We welcome emotional support animals. There's a very short process in order to be able to bring one. You just need to show documentation from a medical professional that you're in need of an emotional support animal, and our Office of Residence Life will help you process that paperwork and give you the permission to bring your support animal. We have many support animals on campus this year. It seems as though the COVID isolation might have prompted folks to want another companion by their side. So I've been seeing a lot of little puppies and dogs and even a cat or two as emotional support animals all around campus.
President Gibraltar, you'll be receiving my paperwork on bringing my golden retriever to cabinet meetings soon.
I'm fine with that, as long as you submit the paperwork. And Andre, didn't you say you have an emotional support fish tank?
I actually do, yes. I just added some Bala sharks to my emotional support fish tank yesterday.
Fish are very good listeners. Everybody knows that. So we have some other questions about the 21st Century Leadership Awards, and people are wondering a little bit more about how did this happen? What was the nomination process? So we have ongoing relationships with school counselors in your schools. They know Wells as an institution. They understand us in terms of the type of education that we offer, the kinds of leadership opportunities that are available here. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, our mission, what Wells is about. And so they are asked every year to identify a student or two students, perhaps, who live those values and who would be a good fit at Wells. They nominate you for that award. We, as part of that process, review your transcript to ensure the academic credentials are appropriate for Wells. And from there, we look to award the scholarship. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for many students. It's an introduction to Wells and what Wells is all about. And so we're very excited about the opportunity to have you join our campus community and take your place here and make your mark here. President Gibraltar, looks like you want to add something to that.
Yeah, no, I think one of our guests asked if the scholarship is present for 4 years, and perhaps one of the things that may be missing for some of you is the fact that most of you were studying remotely from home in the spring. And I think that the honor of this would have been made more apparent to you if you'd been able to complete the entire spring semester in your high school.
And what President Gibraltar is referencing is that your school likely often does a spring awards ceremony where students are called up and you might receive awards from different institutions or awards that are generated within your high school community. And those didn't happen for a lot of school communities. So, you know, that's why this may be, if it's taking any of you by surprise, or if you need to understand better where this came from. The other question is, will it be good if I take a gap year? And yes, it will. You know, when students take a gap year, if they pursue coursework at another institution and become a transfer student, then we need to review your record at that institution. But otherwise, your scholarship award will be honored in the following cycle if you would like to do that.
I just want to say one of the questions about that was that that they appreciated the award, but they had never heard of Wells. And I was actually in that same situation when I received this award when I was in high school. I had never heard of Wells, and so I had actually planned on applying to two other very large institutions. If you're familiar, I was going to apply to University of Rochester and University of Buffalo, which are ginormous. I actually got lost on both of those college campuses when I took tours. And when I did come and tour Wells, when I first saw the campus, I immediately fell in love with it. I mean, the first thing I noticed when we got here is that, you know, Wells owns a boathouse. That's the picture in behind President Gibraltar, and like that's our boathouse. We have kayaks, we have canoes, you know, and we've been using them this semester quite a bit, and that was just awesome. And I specifically remember when I was actually on my way out. I forget who it was, but one of the admissions people actually walked with me and my mom like up to our cars, talking, answering our questions, and it was just us, like 3 people. And that was they took so much care just to answer my questions alone when I hadn't even talked. When I went to a number of other colleges, I never even talked to people from admissions, or it was just behind a desk. So I think that's what really did it for me at Wells, was that it's a gorgeous campus and every single person here has your best interest at heart.
Thank you for that, Christian. We have a question. You kind of touched on this a little bit with the kayaks and the canoes. A question about outdoor opportunities at Wells and around the campus. And I know several of you can speak to that, both in terms of co-curricular or extracurricular activities. And Lindsay, I think we have some things that we could point to within academic programs as well.
Sure. So there's lots of opportunities to take advantage of a variety of outdoor. You're in a great place to do lots of different things at Wells. So if you like hiking, there's hiking all over the Finger Lakes. At Wells, we have cool PE classes like horseback riding. I'm a horseback rider myself, and I know the person that runs that is a hippotherapist. A lot of students volunteer up there after taking that course. You also have, if you know, not PE related, but if you like gardening, we offer a gardening class. I've taught in it that 3 times, where students actually grow their own vegetables. We have a greenhouse on campus as well. We also have a walking challenge. I'm not doing it this semester just because I've been a little busy. I know Linda and I think Cindy might be in it too, where we get groups of 4 students, faculty, all come together. I think we were called the Up and Adams. Yeah, it's kind of nerdy. But then we have, you know, which group can get the most number of miles. And I don't remember where we walk. We try to walk to different auroras. So I think we walked all the way to somewhere in Africa named Aurora one time. It was kind of crazy on how many miles we clock. So yes, it's a very active campus, lots of things to do outside. I think I just saw pictures of Christian going apple picking not too long ago. Yeah. So lots of cool things to do outdoors.
So I know one other thing that is outdoors that I really like about Wells is in the fall every Saturday we have the farmers market, um, which is basically a number of people from the surrounding community come to Wells and set up a number of stalls with a whole lot of stuff. Like one time I got like fresh garlic powder from a stall that they had like grown and ground up themselves, and there's a number of great things, and it's a really great way to get to know the community outside of Wells, like right outside of Wells, but also it's nice to go there with the other students, and kind of it's a fun bonding thing that I do with a lot of my friends.
We also, we have a couple of vans at the college, and when COVID is no longer a thing, our vans will take students to the New York State Fair. It was canceled this year. Greek Peak Water Park, Destiny Mall, so apple picking at Beacon Skiff, which is one of the largest producers of apples in the nation, just about 45 minutes from campus. Vans to take you to Wegmans to go grocery shopping. Aurora is a very small community. It's a great place to walk. It's a great place to sit on the boathouse deck where you can take out kayaks, canoes, rowboats. Andre, if any of you want to learn how to fish, is a master fisherman, and I'm sure we'll be happy to teach anybody how to fish. There's a lot to do, right? You just got to look for it, and it is there. And folks, at some point, COVID-19 is going to be behind us.
Sure, and right now, actually, our transportation, the vans are operating at limited capacity right now. So this weekend, we actually do have some students taking some vans right down the road, a couple miles to Gully Cove. And what Gully Cove is a series of 3 waterfalls, and it's a hike, about a mile hike back and forth. So a few students are taking 2 vans up there, so a total of maybe 10 or 12 students going to hike the waterfalls at Gully Cove right down the road. So yeah, just a great example of things to take advantage of.
We have our own golf course. We are surrounded by state parks, and skiing is nearby. So there's absolutely no shortage of things to do outside.
Hey, and I've gotten into bird watching since I've been here. We have some really cool migratory birds that come through on the lake, if anyone's interested.
Just picking up on the point of state parks that Gerard mentioned, one of our student clubs, which is called Forces, actually works with our state parks, and there's a group of students who, I don't think it's this weekend, I think it's upcoming, will actually be going to a state park that's a little further out than the ones right in our immediate area, to do a cleanup project. And so there's opportunity there as well.
We have a question about, we've talked about assisting students in the transition in. There's a question about assisting our students on the transition out. So the kind of support that we offer students in seeking admission to a graduate school or other program. Perhaps we can throw in there conversations about career preparation and job searches. Linda, do you know anybody who can answer questions about that?
I might be able to think of someone. This is really the heart of my work. And so where do I start? So every semester I run a career preparation class, and it's really the highlight of my semester sometimes, especially in the spring when seniors are really working on, where they're headed next, whether it's into a grad program or into a job. And so we get, every week we meet, And it's almost this play-by-play as students go through their processes, and it's just so great to have students come in one week that they just had an interview, or that they get a job offer, or hear about admission to a grad program. But we work hard too. So the class is open pretty much to juniors and seniors, small group, and it's a working group. And we go through the entire process from how to look for jobs. We use a platform called Handshake, which some of you might be familiar with, and also LinkedIn. And we work on everything from creating resumes and how to search for jobs, the whole grad school prep process. So really kind of a nuts to bolts, I think, or whatever the expression is, a career prep process. And then beyond that class, my office very much has an open door drop-in policy, and to work on wherever you are, whatever those needs are. So, an awful lot of resume work coming out of my office, regardless of the time of or the point a student is in their career, and working with students where they are in that process. So ready to launch that. Those next steps, whether it's into a grad program or as part of the job search. And I do want to just take a minute to comment on how different things are right now because of COVID. And last spring, I was very wary, concerned for all of these things, whether it were internships or being able to find jobs and what the grad school scene was going to look like. And it certainly is different. But I have found that employers are really rallying quite quickly to these changes. So I don't want to say it's business as usual for our students, but we are able to locate meaningful opportunities in both internships and jobs for our students. And I'm working a little bit more closely with employers, especially on the internship front, to make sure that we're sending students out to safe spaces to get their work done. And at the same time, I am just so happy that I'm able to assure those sites that we have a 0% virus rate on our campus, so that they can feel good about bringing our students on board. So I got a little bit off topic there, but they were some things that I really wanted to share. But my office is where that work occurs. Launching futures is how I view it, and working both for students that are wanting to enter the job market directly after college, as well as those that are thinking that they'd like to go into grad school.
Just to speak off of that, I just want to say, Linda has been really helpful as I'm a current senior trying to figure out what my next steps are. And she is not exaggerating when she says that her office is open to you. Also, I've found that getting connected with alums is really, really important at Wells, and it really helps guide you. I've worked a few reunions and fall weekends and stuff where alums come and visit the campus, and getting those connections is really important to the Wells experience, and is something that you don't see everywhere. So utilize that as well, because I have connections all over the place, people who are helping me get into certain grad schools, and it's really awesome to have.
A great question for our students and our alum, which is we've been talking about all of the amazing things that you can do as a student at Wells, both in terms of in the classroom experiences and all the great outdoor activities and all the happenings on campus and our clubs and organizations. How do you make time for it? Do you have time to do all of those things?
So I know that I am someone who, even in high school, I always like to have a lot of things to do, just to keep me busy. I didn't like sitting around. So there's a lot of things that you can do on campus, but in terms of classwork and class times and things like that, Wells really gives you the opportunity to have that free time. And I just choose to fill it with doing a whole lot of other stuff. One of the things is research with Burr well. But one of the great things about Wells 100 is, and Wells as a whole, is that we want to teach you how to manage your time. And I know that before college, I was awful at time management. And since coming to Wells, I've learned a lot of lessons, both easy and hard ways. But that everyone here is really ready and willing to give you those suggestions and tidbits of advice on how to better manage your time, and so that you can have the free time to do nothing at all, or to play sports or sing. Wells is really great for that.
I think it's really important to note that when you go into college, it's a transition in general, but it's really a transition in you have to figure out how to be self-sufficient and self-motivated. And Wells does a good job of having professors that, like, if you're not showing up to class, they're going to email you. Or I've heard about professors literally going to dorm rooms and knocking on doors to get their students to come to class. But part of the whole process of going to college is that you're paying for school, and you have to learn that if you want to go to class, you can go to class. If you don't, most times people aren't going to check up on you and be like, hey, why weren't you in class today? You have to be self-sufficient and advocate for yourself. And some of that process, I mean, as you get into like free time, is like Christian mentioned, there's a lot of opportunities that are offered at Wells to like fill your free time, but you have to take advantage of those. So if you want to sit in your room and play video games all day long, you can totally do that. Or if you want to go to the farmer's market and to the athletic events that are happening, or go off campus to go apple picking, you can do that as well. But it's kind of like I call it like a pick your own adventure. You kind of have to make the fun happen. It doesn't always just happen for you. And that was a really hard transition for me when I went into school, is that I was like, oh, these things aren't just like laid out for me all the time. I have to like pick and choose what I want to do and push myself to go and do those things.
I tend to have the opposite observation of students. So many will double and triple major, will serve student government, will be involved with clubs, campus clubs, will be involved perhaps even with a work-study job on campus, that I often find myself saying, I don't know where you find the time to get everything done, right? To get your schoolwork done. And they're like, well, I've just learned really how to organize my time. So, I think what Christian said is so true. You have to learn how to organize and use your time. But in addition, you have to recognize that, I talked about leadership earlier, and being a leader means that you know how to manage yourself, and you don't let yourself become so overly involved that you can't manage everything that's coming your way. Sometimes you have to learn how to say no. Sometimes you have to prioritize and do the things that matter most. And that's part of coming to college, because honestly, I think that Ellie said it, there may be a faculty member who'll call you up or email you and say, where are you? But I think they kind of expect that you're gonna organize your own life and make coming to class, studying, and being prepared a priority.
I'm just going to point out, so I began this morning talking about how everyone is on a first name basis, but then you heard Christian refer to Professor Burwell simply as Burwell. And so I guess I should have clarified, everybody except Professor Burwell is on a first name basis. Apparently the entire campus is on a last name basis with Burwell. And I've been here a little over a year now, and in my first week, I was in the Grind, which is our on-campus coffee shop, where, by the way, there are coffee drinks named after members of our faculty. And a student Professor Burwell was in there. I think we had just said hi to each other, and as she was walking out, a student yelled, "See you later, Burwell." And that was my introduction to that dynamic. So I don't know if there's a story behind that, Lindsay, but that's always been interesting to me. We are coming, oh, go ahead.
I would just
Absolutely.
say, I mean, teaching organic chemistry, a lot of things can go wrong in the lab real quick. And so I don't want students ever to feel ashamed that, like, if they have a question, I want them to ask and be comfortable. That's why I have them call me Burwell instead of Dr. Burwell or Professor Burwell, is just to break down that barrier.
So we're coming toward the end of our time, and guess what? We didn't get to all of your questions, and that's okay, because we want this to be an ongoing conversation. I did want to highlight one last question, which was, again, it was around the idea of campus visit, and I can talk about visiting campus all day long because it's really exciting to me to get you onto our campus, and that is, should we be looking for particular dates? We are available. The admissions office is open Monday through Saturday. We will work with you to schedule an individual visit that will fit your time frame. We really want to get you here. So speak with your admissions counselor, call the admissions office directly, talk with Judy, our events coordinator. However you want to make that connection, and let's get you on campus and let's get you connected to our faculty, our current students, and have you check out Wells for yourself and see why you belong here. Here is some contact information. You can also email us directly if you have questions. And we look forward to connecting with you soon. Thank you very, very much for joining us for this program. And do stay safe and stay connected. And I hope we will see you all here on this campus in the fall.